Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It is the Friday, August 27th edition of the show. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we have got some football to discuss. Oh my goodness gracious. Leading into week 0, obviously, if you have not already, go over to our other shows, our college football shows with SBR and with BetUS. We have hit on all of the week 0 games. We will probably recap them here a little bit next week. Not much to discuss with those as far as UConn and Fresno State and Nebraska, Illinois, all that good stuff. But I'm sure that we will overreact somewhat when we gather next week. So with that said, go to the BetUS College Football Show. Go to the SBR Picks College Football Show. You can find the link in the description for both of those. Go ahead and give you the rundown. WinningCuresEverything.com has got everything that you need to know about us. Every one of our shows, both from the college football shows and from here, and any other appearances that we make, will be right there. We're going to make a post for every single one of them. Easy to find. Very simple solution. So go ahead and knock those out. Also, you can subscribe to all of the different channels, right? Our podcasts, our YouTube page, etc. If you're watching or listening, we appreciate you, but make sure that you are subscribed. That certainly helps us out. And share the show out. Leave a nice 5-star review. That would certainly help things along as we are continuing to build this gargantuan Winning Cures Everything empire that we are hoping to build. We prefer the idea of taking over the sports media market, and this is the first step. This is the first step. It's going to take a while, but we're going to get there. I can feel it. With that said, the show is brought to you by BetUS, where the game begins, and you, my friends, can get a 125% deposit bonus by just entering one promo code, NCAAF 2021. There is a link in the description. You can click that, and it will automatically enter it in for you. And if you forget the promo code, you can find it down there as well, NCAAF 2021. And I'm telling you, I've been with them forever. They are awesome to work with. They got everything that you could possibly want to gamble on with football games, with UFC. You know, you got the Paul Woodley fight coming up. You got everything. Right? Anything you want to gamble on, it's going to be right there. With football, they got team totals. They got first quarter lines, second quarter, whatever. They got live lines. They got it all. Go to BetUS.com where the game begins. Check out the link in the description. And with that said, I'm ready to rock and roll. Chris, the Pac-12 announced they are not going to expand. I'm sure that this was a shock to you, but what they said in their statement was, following consultation with our presidents, chancellors, and athletic directors, the Pac-12 Conference has made the decision to not pursue expansion of our membership at this time. This decision was made following extensive internal discussion and analysis and is based on the current competitive strength and cohesiveness of our 12 universities. It is also grounded in our confidence in our ability as a conference to best support our student athletes and to grow and thrive both academically and athletically. What they said there was, at this time, the Big 12 has not officially split up yet. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, this is definitely we're not doing anything yet. But so do you think everything Dave Wanstead said was wrong the other day?
No, I don't.
So I don't either. I think they're absolutely going to expand, but they're going to wait until the Big 12 gets paid out by either ESPN and both the buyout clauses from Texas and Oklahoma. I've said this before. And then once those people get paid out, once those teams get their money from those schools in that institution, then they will dissolve the conference and then they will expand.
Yes.
And I think this agreement has already been made, and I believe Bob Bowlesby might be the only one that either doesn't know it or he knows it and is just why he would keep quiet about it. I don't know, unless somebody's going to offer him a job in one of these conferences, or they're just doing this behind his back and this deal has already been done.
That might be what that meeting with Kleofkoff was about before.
Yeah.
Just saying, because nothing ever came out of that.
Do we have a place for you?
Yeah. I could see that. I could 100% see it. I mean, it could be any number of different things. Like,
That's right.
Bowlesby's getting on up there. He could be ready to retire. Who knows?
That's right. They could hand him a walk-away fee. All three of the conferences that are going to poach the Big 12 could all throw him a kicker. And if everybody threw him a couple of $1 million, then he gets to walk away and retire and have a little bit of severance package. And then they get to expand the way they want to expand and all this other stuff. But I think it's going to happen. It's not if, it's when. And the date it happens is going to be after Texas and Oklahoma have paid their penalties and ESPN has paid out their contract, and then it will all happen.
Yes, because as it stands right now, if the Big 12 were to dissolve early, Texas and Oklahoma do not owe any of that money.
That's right.
Those schools are kind of left with nothing in their pockets.
That's right.
Right? So
right now they got an alimony check coming to them. They just got to pay a waiting game.
Yeah, and that's what all this is, right?
That's all it is.
The Pac-12 expansion is one thing. We've talked about the playoff expansion and all that. It's not that these schools don't want to expand. It is that they want more broadcast partners at the table. With this, the Pac-12 wants to strengthen Fox because that's who they do the majority of their games
with. And the
with.
Big Ten wants to do the same thing, by the way.
Yes, and I don't blame any of them for wanting to do that. Now, I guess the question, this is going down a different rabbit hole now I'm thinking about it. The biggest question will be, do these conferences find a way to get ESPN to agree to expand, but only extend it until, I guess, keep the contract the way that it is? It's just give them more money for more games. Like, do they let ESPN keep 3 years of this and then it goes to open market? Or do they say, like, ESPN, if you don't hop on board with this, then we're not going to let you have any part of it? Because we'll just go play kind of the way CBS and ESPN went through their thing with the SEC, right?
I would be shocked if they didn't want ESPN as any part of it at all.
Agreed.
Because it's in the branding interest of the NCAA, of college football, to want ESPN as a partner, to have them as a partner. They have the biggest, most important college football show in the country. And outside of, the NFL, it's probably the most watched show in the country. And so I don't know that for a fact, but I would bet the ratings for game day is probably the biggest show every week outside of the NFL.
I wouldn't doubt that.
So I bet it pulls bigger numbers than most games.
It's I do know, like, it's not as big as some of the cable news outlets, but it's never going to be. Like,
oh no, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But neither here nor there. I would want them as a partner.
Yes,
but ESPN, if ESPN wants a hostile takeover, I do think this alliance stops that. Yeah. I think 2 of the 3 are in bed with another company, and 1 of the 3 has a contract that they're not happy with ESPN. So that hurts ESPN completely. And I believe that would cause some ripples. But I also don't think I've been open about this. I don't think it's in the best interest of the sport, of any of these conferences whatsoever, to have all of the playoff be under one umbrella. I just don't think that's wise. I think I would want multiple entities, exactly like the NFL, to own pieces of the playoff. And if it's a thing where we rotate it around, I'm fine with that. I do not care. I would treat it exactly like the NFL, exactly like it. If you get to host the championship game, you get one less playoff game than everybody else, or something of that nature. Because you get the biggest prize of them all. And we just work from there. I do think it should go to 12. That gives them, what does that give them? 6 playoff games?
No, that would be 4. Oh
no, that gives
2
them a lot more
and
than
1. So 11 playoff games. Yeah.
So you're basically splitting up 11 playoff games. I have no idea if CBS has a place in that, but if CBS wants a piece of it, I'm selling it to anybody who wants it. Okay. Yeah. The one thing I would right now be leery of is selling any part of it to streaming only, just because I think college football still needs to make sure it's playoff, everybody can watch it. And I think there's a lot of old blue hairs out there that won't be able to watch it, but those are the people that are funding the sport.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They're not funding the sport. They're funding the universities. They ain't nobody our age or under paying donations to universities. All right.
Not these big time donations.
So all of your boosters are mid to late 50s, 60s, 70, 80-year-old people who aren't going to like the streaming option. If Amazon picked it up and said, a national championship game or just a playoff game between two teams, but it's only streamed on Amazon, I think that would get bad numbers, and I don't think that would go over well. But outside of streaming only, now if Amazon wants to partner with NBC and say we would like a streaming option, and we whatever, I don't know why NBC would do that because they have their own streaming option, but something of that nature, then that might be different. But I would open this thing up to all four of the major networks. I would make them bid on it, just like the NFL. And I think you're going to find yourself the playoffs are going to be worth more than they've ever been worth, ever.
Yes, I agree. And, along with that, this whole expansion thing for the Pac-12, obviously the Big Ten and the ACC have not yet spoken about it. But I could imagine that they will be doing the same thing because this is smart from a business sense to not get involved with somebody that is not available yet. Like, there can still be conversations happening behind the scenes.
You can make deals. I believe those deals are already made.
Yeah, Oklahoma and Texas talked to the SEC for months before anybody knew about it.
That's right. I think the SEC Oklahoma Texas deal was made 6 months ago, 9 months ago. I think it was a done deal. I think they had an agreement in place. I think that Oklahoma State already has their agreement in place. I think that the Kansas, Iowa State deal is done. Like, I think what Dave Onstadt said, I think those deals are probably done. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any negotiation. I don't think that there's any. I think we already have agreements, and I think everybody understands what's important about the agreement. Don't say anything from now on out. If you're asked about it, say no, that you're as strong as you can, and try to make the Big 12 as valuable as possible, because when you join our relationship, you actually bring something to the table. Okay? Yep. So we don't want to hurt any of these brands because we're about to be in a relationship with these brands. So it's not in our best interest to shit on them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they tried to build them up so much during the press conference. Why? I mean,
the only purpose of building up somebody who's not a part of your alliance is because they're about to be a part of your partnership.
Yes.
Just not an alliance.
Exactly, because the conference won't exist. Like, there's no sense of bringing in the Big 12 as a partner.
If you're going to destroy the Big 12, that's right.
Exactly. So after that, we're going to dive off of that topic because, my God, we've had so much alliance talk and everything else here lately. I'm ready to discuss something else. Brian Kelly may have slipped up and announced who the next Notre Dame head coach is going to be. He was doing an interview with NBC Sports for their Race in America, a Candid Conversation series, and he said this about Marcus Freeman, his current defensive coordinator who came over from Cincinnati. My defensive coordinator is black, and he's going to be the next head coach, Kelly said while on a panel with Steph Curry, Dill Curry, Vince Carter, Jimmy Rollins, Justin Tuck, CeCe Sabathia, and Kyle Rudolph. This is not about color or race. This is about the things that he just talked about. Steph talked about the important things to be a CEO and understanding how to make people around you better. Now, Marcus Freeman has come into Notre Dame and significantly upgraded their recruiting efforts. They are currently, I think, number 2 in the country for next season, and Notre Dame has not had success like that on the recruiting trail. Now, again, it's early.
I was going to say, we don't think they'll finish number 2, right?
No, I don't believe so, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. They are in for some pretty big guys. So he's upgraded what they've been doing there. And while we have not seen him coach a game there, the reviews out of camp are through the roof. Everybody loves him.
He was the prize of all of the DCs coming out this year. He just was. He was.
And you and I were trying. We tried to figure out that, right? Because he had the option of picking LSU or Notre Dame.
No, I think he told LSU. I think he took Notre Dame, and I told you this. I'm an LSU guy. I'm an LSU fan. You got Ed on the wall back here, okay? Like, I think Notre Dame's a better job. It's just a better job.
Especially for a guy that, Midwest-based, especially,
I don't care about any of that. I don't care about any of that. He could have been based out of California. He could have been based out of Florida. He could have been based out of Mexico. It doesn't matter.
You think Notre Dame overall
is a better job.
Interesting.
It's a better job. Outside of the SEC, 100% of the people would agree with that, okay? Inside of the SEC, I think 50% of the people agree with that, all right? Okay, I think there's a few select people that think LSU is a better job than Notre Dame. And I think those people, that's fine to have that opinion. They're wrong. Notre Dame has a much bigger platform, a much bigger fan base, a much bigger voice overall. They're independent. They have their own contract. They don't play little brother to anybody ever. No, it's 100% a better job.
That makes sense.
End of story.
And so on top of that, also situationally, Brian Kelly is getting older. I don't know if Ed Orgeron wins this season. I don't think he's going anywhere for a while. I don't think that we've got that. No. So if that is the case, if Brian Kelly is getting on up there, and he eventually wants to step down, if that's something that he sold Marcus Freeman on, I could see it. Now, you and I believe that Marcus Freeman was going to be a head coach at some point, at some level anyway. But him coming out and saying this, now, of course, it's unclear whether or not he was talking about just a college football, like he'll be the next big coordinator that gets a head coaching job, or does he mean that he will be Notre Dame's next head coach? Who knows at this point? Like what he said, he's going to be the next head coach. You can take a lot from that. But I do think it's interesting the way that he said it. So, I mean, who knows? I'm curious.
Brian Kelly is 59 years old.
He's been there forever.
Gary,
he's 59?
He's 59 years old. When you said that, I was like, I don't think he's that old.
I thought he was in his 60s.
No, he's not.
I would have never said that if I didn't.
I know that.
Okay.
I know that's why I brought it up.
I do appreciate that. He's
not that old. He's not going anywhere. I don't think this is a Notre Dame situation.
Okay.
I think, or unless Brian Kelly has ambitions of going to the NFL, there's not a better job in college football than Notre Dame. I just believe that. Now, it's really hard to win a national championship there. If Dabo Swinney got hit by a bus, do we think he could take that job? If Nick Saban decided to retire, do we think he'd take that job? Those two jobs, Ohio State maybe, like that's probably the list of the jobs that are better than Notre Dame in the country. And even then, I still don't know that those are better jobs. You can win championships much easier at those jobs than you can at Notre Dame. You don't have to have players that can read, and in Notre Dame you do.
This is his 11th season, is that right? No, 12th. 2010 through now?
Yeah, 10 something like that.
So, okay. 12 years at Notre Dame. But look at it this way. I mean, you see how much stress he puts on himself during football seasons. I think there's a chance that maybe he retires early.
Does anybody ever say this shit about Nick Saban?
No, I guess not.
Okay.
Well, I'm just.
Right. Anybody say this shit about Mac Brown?
What? You're acting like I'm personally attacking you, and I'm
not. I don't understand why. I don't understand why certain people you make arguments for, but you're not consistent across the board. Why can some guys do this job until they're 80, and the other guys, as soon as they turn 60, they're out the door?
Oh no, I'm not saying he's out the door. I also just watched Chris Peterson retire at 55, and I watched Bob Stoops retire at 55. Okay, so that's why I'm questioning.
Those are anomalies. But those are how many people in the ethos of college football have we seen walk out on their own terms at that age? I think the list is 3. It's those two guys and Lion Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
And Urban only does it when he thinks he's about to get in trouble or his teams are about to go downhill. Yeah. That's it.
And Urban is, of course, back coaching. So
that's right. That's right. So that's the list. Is the list is 2 people out of the ethos of all of the coaches. Now, how many coaches coach till they're 80? That were allowed to coach until they're 80, because I think that list is substantially longer than 2.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, that does make sense. Urban Meyer, by the way, 57 years old, so 2 years younger than Brian Kelly. Who knows?
Lots of health problems, though. Lots of health problems.
Of course, he's still got them. Still dealing with them. Maybe it's better down in Florida.
I don't see Brian Kelly going anywhere. I think this is him saying this guy is in a few years. He's going to be at the top of everybody's list to be a head coach. And I believe that, by the way. And whenever Brian Kelly decides to walk away from Notre Dame, I think this is going to be somebody that, unless he takes a job and really hurts his reputation, I think he's going to be at the top of Notre Dame's list.
Marcus Freeman is 35 years old, by the way.
Oh no, he's crazy young, and I wanted him at LSU. You know that. That is the only. I had a 1-name list for defensive coordinator. I wanted to take the guy we had, and I wanted to throw him off that big ass bridge, and I wanted to go get Freeman.
Yes, you did.
That's it. And I just wanted him to walk in the door and say, "How much money do you want?" I got a blank check. We just paid this guy $20-something million to leave as a coordinator. What do you want?
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
It didn't work. But I'm going to tell you, if I was him and I was offered both these jobs and I didn't have any fandom or love involved, Notre Dame's a better job. It just is.
Yeah, I could see that. If Ryan Day ever ends up going to the NFL, this could be a leading candidate for that. Of course, he went to school at Ohio State, drafted in the 5th round in 2009.
Now I will tell you this: if you're Iowa State, you see what Luke Fickell has become. I know Luke Fickell did a little interim thing at Ohio State. It's at Iowa State. Yeah. Right now, one guy's already in the state of Ohio, and he's the head coach, and he's turned a kind of a nothing school that Tommy Tuberville ran to the ground into a national legitimate power. I use the word power loosely. Very big power in their conference and at their level, and can compete with the big boys. Now you got 2 former Ohio State guys that are both in the Midwest and both have a hell of a resume.
That are fighting for.
And they're both defensive guys.
Yes.
Which Ohio State hasn't had. I have no idea when the last time they had a defensive head coach.
Tressel,
was Tressel a defensive guy?
Well, the way that he coached was very much.
Well, no, that was the style of football, but he wasn't like a defensive coordinator that got that job, right?
No, you're right.
I don't think he was a defensive guy. I just think football was played at a defensive level back then. No, I thought Tressel was an OC.
He was a head coach at Youngstown.
Yes,
no, not Youngstown. Youngstown State.
Yeah, it's Youngstown. I think his background was offense, but I could be completely wrong, and it doesn't matter, by the way.
I'm looking at a quarterback. He was Ohio State's quarterback, running back, and wide receivers coach.
Yeah, so he's an offensive guy. I don't know when the last time.
Before Tressel, who was it before Tressel? Was it Woody?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think Woody coached that late, did he?
I don't think so.
Now we're getting into the weeds of something that is not important and does not matter. You're going on 20 years of not hiring a defensive guy.
No, Woody was 78. Who in the world was Ohio State?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think there was a couple of people before him and Woody.
But all of them were, Earl Bruce and then John Cooper. It was Cooper.
I don't know either of those guys' name. Don't know who they are. Don't know where they came from. Don't know anything.
Earl Bruce is Urban Meyer's mentor.
It's been over 20 years and they haven't hired a defensive guy. So
yeah,
but I do think those would be 1 and 2 on their list. I might be wrong about that.
I don't think you are. I
have no idea why Ryan Day would walk away. By the way, like that, even for the NFL today, I mean, if a really stable job came open, like somebody at a good place retired, that would be one thing. But like Andy Reid's not retired anytime soon. Sean Payton's not. Bill Belichick's not. Like, those are the only older coaches that would retire and leave a really good job open.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
All the other jobs are going to be unstable as hell, and I wouldn't leave Ohio State for the NFL for those. And this is a guy, I love the NFL, all right? I'm the defender here, but what coaches make in college and what they make in the pros ain't a whole lot different, man.
No. And there's no off time in college.
In either sport.
But in either sport, really. I mean, I don't know that there's a
whole
lot of
difference. But right now, when you're at an institution like Ohio State, you're not recruiting. Like Nick Saban doesn't spend weeks and months recruiting. Like they come to him. Ryan Day, they come to him.
Yes. John Cooper was the last defensive guy. So
when was that? In the 80s?
He was 88 through 2000. So,
holy shit.
Yeah, before Tressel and then
that was a long time.
Yeah,
he goes for 12 years.
Yeah, I think it's technically 13 seasons. But yeah, like
okay,
it's
whatever.
So he was the defensive coordinator before he was Tulsa's head coach, Arizona State's head coach, and then Ohio State's head coach.
We just went into the weeds of Ohio State's coaching history
while we're talking about Notre Dame.
For nothing.
That's the way it goes.
Do you really think Brian Kelly might open this job in the next couple of years, regardless of who gets it?
It's why I'm asking the question, right? I'm just curious, what is his mindset? Like, does he want to – you don't see a lot of guys stick around at a school for longer than what he's been there.
I will tell you this. It's easier to stay at a college for this long than it is at the pros because the kids constantly change over.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
So in the NFL, it's rare to see somebody coach for 10 years at the same place.
Well, in college, when you've got a relationship with – because the GM ain't changing – like all that. It's the AD and the president. That's your bosses.
That's right.
So if you've got a good relationship with them.
And I'll tell you this, that ain't your bosses. When you're at that level, you can get those guys fired before they can get you fired. As long as you're not breaking rules or breaking laws, you can get those guys fired much easier than they get you fired.
Yes,
that's
I
the
agree.
truth. That's the truth. You don't have, like, technically you have people that sign your paychecks, but you don't have bosses. You're the most powerful people on the university. You can get anything you want done. You are the godfather of the mob boss at college universities. And you don't have to worry about your song and dance, your shtick ever getting old, because by the time it gets old, those fifth-year seniors are gone, and you got a whole new group of people to tell all your jokes to, and to get all your one-liners to, and to get all your coach speak out of. When you get in the NFL and somebody's been on the roster for 6 years, that shit ain't going to fly.
The jokes are not funny anymore.
That's
all your
right.
old man dad jokes ain't working.
That's right. It ain't working. Well, it's not just the jokes. All your motivational tactics, if you're winning, then people care and they'll listen. If you're not, they no longer trust you as their coach, and it's over. And that's the difference between the pros and the NFL and in college.
Yes, you're correct. You are correct. All right, we'll move off of Notre Dame. Your LSU Tigers are headed to Las Vegas to face off against the USC Trojans to open up the 2024 season in Allegiant Stadium. Now, this comes one day after the alliance announcement between the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC. So we did a show. We did a show after that alliance thing. And I told you, as soon as one of these teams have an opportunity to play, one of these big boy teams have an opportunity to play an SEC team, do you think they'll pick an SEC team or do you think they'll pick one another? And you agreed with me. They will pick the SEC team every time because we bring more eyeballs to the table than anyone else. Yes.
And sure as shit, not 3 hours later, LSU has been chosen by USC to play in Vegas. Well, now, why didn't they pick Ohio State? Now, why didn't they pick Michigan? Why didn't they pick Penn State? Why didn't they pick Wisconsin? Why didn't they pick Clemson? Why didn't they pick somebody else?
Here's the thing. I think that we needed to have, like, let me wrap my brain together. If that alliance was smart, they would have put together some kind of a matchup to announce at some point, like very soon afterwards.
Yeah, literally, USC, Ohio State would have been the matchup to announce. Your biggest brand, our biggest brand, are going to play in Vegas.
Yes.
And Ohio State has 10 times the following that LSU has. They're a substantially bigger school. I bet they get better ratings than LSU. But you still want that footprint in Baton Rouge. You still want those SEC eyeballs.
Yes.
Because Ohio State will watch, but most of the Big Ten hates Ohio State. And so outside of Ohio State fans, I bet a lot of other people aren't going to watch. In the SEC, we watch all our shit. As much as we hate other schools, we still all tune in for all the SEC games. This is why when they say it just means more, we're not saying the university cares more. We're saying the millions of people that follow each one of these universities care. I will hate watch Alabama every second when they play a real team. Okay. I will hate watch Auburn. I will hate watch Ole Miss. I will watch all of these schools that I don't like every week. As long as it's not on at the same time as LSU, I will watch all of them over other games.
Unless they're playing Bethune-Cookman and whoever else.
Well, yeah, I don't watch the high school shit. You know that. I don't care. If you're getting a pay for win, you're not getting I don't watch LSU's high school. I pay for wins. I just don't do it. I'm not going to give you – I'm not rewarding them with my viewership. That's just it.
Like the upcoming Monday night game between Ole Miss and Louisville,
I'm going to watch the shit out of that. Every SEC fan in the country will watch. Mississippi State fans will watch in all the hopes that Ole Miss loses.
Yes.
And if it's a tight game, they'll keep watching. If Ole Miss is up by 3 scores, every Mississippi State fan's turning it off.
If this was Louisville against Purdue,
probably not so much. Very few SEC fans are watching.
Yes.
They're taking the kid to swim that day.
Yes.
Like, that's just it.
That's it. That is it. All right. Moving off of that one, the Pats. We got to talk about the Patriots before we move into our AFC South preview. Made a couple of trades the last 2 days. Sony Michel is being traded to the Rams. Now, I want you to explain this one to me, but also Shaun Wade is being traded to the Pats from the Ravens. Now, give me the breakdown on the Sony Michel trade. Try and make this make sense to me. The NFL had them rewrite the trade. Make it make sense.
All right. So from what I've gotten from the Pats people that I listen to, and I trust these guys, and Peter Schrager is an NFL guy, and he covers this stuff, and he knows the ins and outs of these things. This is going to be a fourth-round pick for Sony Michel. Okay, that's what it is. The Rams don't have a fourth-round pick right now. The Rams have basically sold all of the draft pick for the last 5 years. They don't care. They're never going to go into the draft with picks. They're building for right now, and that's it. They don't own a fourth-round pick, so they've made, I think it's a sixth-round pick or a seventh-round pick or whatever. Basically, at the end of the season, when the Rams lose a free agent, they're going to get a comp pick. That pick is going to be in the fourth round. That fourth-round pick is going to go to the Patriots. That's what this trade is. From what I have heard, I think that's a pretty fair deal. There were some people that were curious, was Sony going to make the roster for the Patriots this offseason?
Yeah, I could see that.
Now, that goes to Bill Belichick's drafting in the first round. So, haven't had a first-round pick payout in a long time. I'm talking long time.
This is true. This is true.
We're getting something for him. That's fine. And they're getting a much-needed running back. I mean, they're dying. And the Pats, they could have given him away for the sixth-round pick, and it'd been fine because they got 5 running backs on the roster, and that they're completely happy with.
Yes, they are loaded at that position. So this does, in fact, make sense. The Rams, of course, already had Cam Akers. He's out for the season. And Darrell Henderson has left he's got some kind of medical injury that he's dealing with.
But he also has always had a medical injury since he's been in the NFL. They have no clue how good Darrell Henderson can be. And so you can't go into the season with him as your only option.
Right. And the reason that they're actually making the trade right now is because Henderson is not available right now.
It's not available. That's right.
That's the way it goes. So, you go and you find this guy, you find Sony Michel. As far as some of the advanced stats go, he was great last season as far as some of the advanced stuff.
When he was healthy.
Yeah, when he was healthy. And that's another issue for the Rams, right?
He's got an issue with staying on the field as well. His rookie year, he was really good. And his rookie year, he beat the Rams in a Super Bowl. They got to see him up close and personal.
Yeah.
So I think he'll do really well in that system. I really do. If he can stay healthy, I think he's substantially better than Darrell Henderson. I just believe that. I think he's that much better running back. I think a fourth-round pick or even a fifth or sixth-round pick is a steal for them. But all intents and purposes, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a fourth-round pick when we're all said and done. We'll see how that works out.
Now, the other side, completely different trade.
This is a weird-ass trade, man.
Yeah, the Ravens are trading Shaun Wade, fifth-round pick this season, to the Patriots. And he's been fantastic in the preseason, but the Ravens are going to receive a 2022 7th-round pick and a 2023 5th-round pick from New England. Wade is through 2 preseason games, Wade had the second highest grade versus single coverage among rookie defensive backs, according to Pro Football Reference. When he's playing in position, he's really good. No, he wasn't great at Ohio State last year, but he was playing cover corner, and that's not what he is.
They had a moron defensive coordinator that just didn't know how to use him.
It wasn't that. It was Kerry Coombs, and I trust him. The issue was their depth at that position, right? They needed Shaun Wade on the field, and the guys that they had were awful. And Wade was better than what they had.
But Wade was, I don't know. Wade was awful too. So
yeah, he was. He was, but
you kill a guy's draft. You kill a guy's draft quality by asking him to do something he's not supposed to do or not able to do. And
he will never run into that issue with New England, by the way. They'll never ask him to do something he can't do.
What is Bill great at? Bill says, I don't care all the things you're bad at. If you're really good at one thing, even if it's a little thing, I'm going to use you for that little thing. He literally signed a guy that's never played football before, but only played rugby just to be on special teams because rugby guys are far more athletic than those bottom tier football guys.
Yes.
And he was like, if I can get the best rugby guy in the world, he can tackle better than the worst football guy that I can sign for the same amount of money. And I'm just going to waste a roster spot on a guy only to play punt and kickoff coverage. I'm not talking about returning the ball in like a Devin Henderson guy. I'm talking about a guy to go tackle Devin Henderson.
Yes. And it's smart.
No, he's really, really, really smart at all of this stuff. And I know that last year they lost and everyone said he was false and it was all smoke and mirrors and it was all Tom. Listen, in the NFL, it ain't all anybody one person. It's just not.
You 100% right.
If you think Bill is dead and gone because he was bad last year, I think you're going to get your ass knocked off this year.
I think so too. The AFC South, you ready to rock and roll?
Come on. I've been waiting on this for 2 weeks.
I know. Let's dive into it. AFC South 2021 predictions and previews. We're going to start things off.
You want to do the read? You want to give the people a plug that's supposed to be getting proposition in this thing?
Yes, BetUS.com, where the game begins. Go ahead and check it out. NCAAF 2021 is your promo code, 125% deposit bonus. There is a link in the description. Make sure that you go ahead and check that out. It is a sportsbook exclusive deposit bonus, so all that money is going directly to betting on sports. You don't have to spend any of it at a online blackjack table, anything like that. It's just going to sports, baby. You can bet on football with all that money. So go ahead and dive in. These are the odds. We are rolling with them. The Houston Texans win total sits at 4. To go over is plus 120 or 115. Excuse me, swapped it up on me. To go under is minus 145. To win the division, they are number 4 in that spot, plus 2,000. To win the AFC, don't make that bet. Don't make that bet. Plus 10,000.
Any amount you want to put on it.
To make the playoffs, plus 650. To not make the playoffs is minus 1,200. They are not going to make the playoffs this year. I can almost guarantee it. They are a projected favorite in 0 games. There's not one single game on the schedule where they are favored. They have the second most difficult schedule in the league based on projected win totals. That's tough. 5 overs, 2 unders the last 7 years. 2020, of course, was an under. They have the worst roster in the NFL. They did not make any big moves. It kind of makes you wonder if they are in a tank situation. David Culley, NFL assistant for 27 years. This is his first head coaching job. Lovie Smith, former Illinois head coach, former Chicago Bears head coach, is the defensive coordinator. Even with a 4-12 record, Deshaun Watson had a 112.4 passer rating. That was second in the league behind Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how you can be that good on that bad of a team unless the roster is just as awful as it was. The schedule includes the NFL West, the Browns, and the Chargers. This team went 2-8 in one-score games last year. I mean, it was putrid. Tyrod Taylor looks to be the starter for this team. I don't think they're going to start the rookie right off the bat, their third-round guy, Davis Mills out of Stanford. But Tyrod Taylor's going to start. He is 56th out of 62 quarterbacks in EPA per play since 2018. Not ideal. They have no proven playmakers. They have an old running back room. The defense is abysmal. You don't like to go under a 4, but I can't find 4 wins. I can't get them there.
Nope, me neither. When we talked about the Lions, let me tell you something. We talked about, is it possible that they could go 0-17? I think the Lions would be a 4.5-point favorite against this Texans team in a neutral site field.
Yes.
If those two strapped it up and played in Vegas, I think the Lions are not a touchdown favorite, but they're more than a field goal.
Yes, I agree, 100%.
I really think that Lions team's a lot better than this team. This might be one of the worst rosters I've ever seen. I mean, I'm not kidding.
It is as bad as we are making it out. I mean, I can't even.
They're really bad at football. I think they're going to struggle to get a win. And
it is a crying shame because when you look at what this team was, I mean, they were up 2 years ago in the playoffs on the Chiefs in the Chiefs Super Bowl year, 24-0 at Kansas City, and that is
as much as we like to make fun of him. They had a real, legitimate, bona fide head coach, and they had maybe the second best quarterback in football. They probably had, at that time, the best receiver in football. So a lot of things were different at that. Oh, they also had several big-time defensive players. A lot of things has changed in the last 2.5, 3 years. So let me ask you this. This is a weird question. I haven't put any thought into this until just now because it just came to my head. Let's say Deshaun Watson. I want to Sherlock fucking Holmes, man. Deshaun Watson decides, you know what? I want to be traded. but I'm really bored and I want to play football. And I know this team's shit, but I'm going to finish the season out. They're 0-4. How many games do you think they can win? You put him in there. Same roster. He didn't get anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, 2, 3. I mean, they only won 4 games last year.
If he still plays all 17, I still don't think I can get to 4. And knock on him, I think, and I've told you this, I think he's the second best quarterback in football.
Yes, I think he's really, really good.
I don't think he's magic, man. I just don't.
But no, and that would also be expecting him to come in pristine physical condition.
Well, yeah, off the bat. And I'm assuming he does all that. He comes in peak shape, nothing wrong, nothing flawless. But you have this roster. They're still with the second best player in the world that plays the most important position in the world. It's still the worst roster I might have ever seen.
It's really bad. This
really bad.
So my question before was, is this a tank situation?
Well, but I don't think anybody's trying to lose any games. I just think they're really bad at it.
Well, yes, I do agree with that, but I also wonder if this is part of the reason why they hired David Culley, right? Like they know that they are in a bad position as far as the roster is concerned.
Now, I'll tell you this. You know how much that stuff pisses me off because Steve Wilkes got treated like this in Arizona, and he's never recovered from it.
Oh, of course. But
I think Culley, Steve Wilkes could make a good head coach, and he literally got railroaded at Arizona. He was hired for one purpose, to lose. He lost because they gave him no roster whatsoever, and then they fired him. They held the record against him.
And he had to go and take that Browns job, which that roster was not built to succeed at that point.
Oh, no. Well, the Browns were a complete shit show at that time.
Yeah.
No, they were a disaster. They were a laughing stock.
Well, I mean, what was he? He was Freddie Kitchens' defensive coordinator, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So he took that job.
No, that was a joke.
And then he was out of football for a year, and now it's Missouri's defensive coordinator.
He's back in college. That's the most stable job he's had in 5 years.
Yeah, and he still probably got roster issues at Missouri, but still, yes, I agree.
This is what happens if you hire a guy to take losses. Like, it's almost impossible for them to recover from that.
But I do wonder if maybe nobody else would take the job because they didn't know what was going on with Deshaun Watson.
I don't think anybody else took the job. No, the Deshaun Watson stuff I don't think happened until after the job was already been filled, right?
Yeah, but you got to imagine.
Or the job was open, not filled, but open.
It was open, but I'm wondering about David Culley so forget the Deshaun Watson stuff. Just look at how bad the roster is.
That's right. It's ownership. Culley, I don't think people want to play for that owner.
Culley, 27-year assistant coach, had never really been brought up for jobs. Now, he had some guys that were in his corner for sure. But did you ever hear him be brought up for another job?
No.
Like, this seems like this guy's an NFL lifer. Yep. He's never really had this opportunity. We'll give him his opportunity. And
I'll tell you this, he'll be paid handsomely for what he's doing.
Yes.
But everybody who says they're tanking, yes. But in 3 years from now, when he's looking for a job, everybody's going to throw his resume out there, and they're going to show this awful record, and they're going to say, look how bad of a head coach he was.
Yeah.
When that record is not real, that record is not true, that record does not reflect his coaching ability, I hate that stuff. You know that. It bothers me. It bothers me badly that we bring guys in for the sole purpose of tanking, and then we hold that record against them forever.
Context matters.
Yes.
It always does. 100%. Context matters.
I got this team going under. I do records for everybody. I gave them 2 wins. I got no idea who. Maybe they win a home game against the Jags. Maybe they win a home game against the Colts. Maybe they win a home game against the Titans because it's a divisional game. I don't know. I gave them 2 wins because I don't like having anybody go blanked. But I think this is the worst team in the NFL.
I think so.
We spent way too long talking about the worst team in the NFL. Sorry, some of that's on me.
Hey, we're diehards. Like we just love the sport. So if there's something interesting to talk about,
I feel bad for the coaching situation here because
I feel bad for I feel bad for the entire thing because it was so poorly
I don't feel
run.
bad for the players. Players always get a second chance if they're good enough.
Yeah, no,
it doesn't matter how good of a head coach you are.
Yeah, but losing still sucks no matter what. Like losing sucks no matter what. Like this is a year of a player's life that's gone, right? So
fact
is what it is. All right, moving on. The Indianapolis Colts, their win total sits at 9. To go over is plus 110. To go under is minus 140. They are second in the division at plus 140 to win the AFC South. To win the AFC, they are plus 1,400. To make the playoffs, same juice on both sides, minus 115. Projected favorites in 12 games. Now, I don't know that that's been actually updated. Knowing what we know about, Nelson being out and having some injury issues and all that, projected strength of schedule is 12th. That is our 12th easiest based on win total projections. Over, under the last 4 seasons. They went over last year, went under the year before, over, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. Frank Reich consistently puts his teams in position to win games. Everything about this team is good, except for the quarterback room and the wide receiver room, which are fairly important in today's NFL. In 2020, they were the only team in the NFL in the top 5 on offense and defense EPA gained from turnovers. That's a luck stat. Don't know if that can be consistent or not. It's normally there's a regression there, but we shall see. They faced the single easiest schedule in the NFL in 2020, and this year's is not like super hard. It's difficult.
It's easier. Yeah. It's harder than last year.
Yeah, it's definitely harder than last year, but it's not unmanageable. We'll say that. I talked about Sam Darnold's QBR on the Carolina Panthers thing from a clean pocket. Carson Wentz, dead last in on-target percentage, 74.9% from a clean pocket. That ain't good. That's saying when you are not being pressured at all, you still can't hit your guys. That's not good. From the front office to the coaching staff, it makes it difficult for me to go under here because this is such a well-built team other than those positions. But those positions matter, man. I've actually got them right on the 9. I'm going to go under because I don't know what's up with the injury issues. I expected them to beat the Seahawks in week 1. So I'm going to go under here. This is not one that I'm going to bet. I don't feel great about it, but I've got them at 8 wins. I don't feel good about this team.
Well, hang on. With a healthy Carson Wentz, you thought they would beat the Seahawks?
I kind of did. I thought that they'd be able to come out and surprise them a little bit. I don't think Carson Wentz is great, but I especially don't think he's going to be great coming off of a foot injury, especially if they try and rush him back, right?
I have sang the praises of Frank Reich more than anybody on this show. Okay. I love him. I think he's an unbelievable coach. I think this football team is built exactly the way you're supposed to build a football team. The way I would build it, okay? The farther away from the ball you get, the less value I put in that because I think you can find guys there. I think they have some young receivers that I like a lot. I like Michael Pittman a whole lot. Oh, God, they have got one other young guy that I love. His name just went out of my brain.
And then they still got T.Y. too.
I'm not worried about T.Y. T.Y.'s toast, baby. T.Y. is tough. He's got experience. And he's probably can make a couple of big, meaningful catches. He cannot separate anymore. This is what happens. Father Time catches up to you, and receivers fall off a cliff after they turn 30 and they start having injury problems. I think so little of Carson Wentz. I don't know that Frank Reich's that magical. I just don't.
Are you talking about, let's see, I'm pulling up the wide receivers right now. Zach Pascal, Paris Campbell.
Come on. Paris Campbell. That's it.
Yeah.
Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman. Those two guys are young. Those two guys are I think are good. I think they're good. I think they're a quarterback away from being a hell of a football team. Carson Wentz, I got this team 6-11. I don't think they're good. I don't think Carson Wentz is good. I don't think they're getting close to 9. You're going to see something here. This division is last year's NFC East. Mark my words, we're going to struggle to find a team to get to 10 wins.
No trust in the Titans here, huh?
No, sir.
Okay,
no,
all right.
Sir.
We'll talk about them in a minute.
You still got to play both sides of the ball. We'll get there.
That is true.
This is a team that I love. This is a team. This Colts team. If they had a quarterback, I don't need him to be a great quarterback. Okay, all right. I just need him to not be Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has been horrible.
Here is people. Let me ride through the beginning of their schedule just to give everybody an idea.
Sure.
Start off at home against Seattle. Then you've got the Rams coming in.
Yep.
Then you've got at Tennessee, at Miami, at Baltimore.
I think they'll lose all those games.
All 5.
I think there's a world where they come out of that. Not just a world. I would probably put a lot of money on them coming out of that 1-4.
Yeah, I could buy that.
I might be able to find a win. I bet they come out of that. I would bet more that they come out of that 1-4 than they come out of that, I don't know, 3-2.
Oh, yes,
or
yes. Or even 2-3.
I don't. Oh yeah, even 2-3. I just don't see them doing that. I don't think this is a good football team. And here's the thing: I think this is a great football team, but I think quarterback is that important. I don't think Frank Reich can hide his flaws. I think he had a magical 3 months his sophomore year, and everybody is hanging on to those 3 months. Before then, his entire life. After that, his entire life, we've never seen him look close to that. Why do we think those 3 months is what he really is? And every other week, month, day in his life, he's never looked anything like that. Why do we think those 3 months is what he is?
So along with that schedule, after that 5-game slate, they've got Houston. Should get a win there. And then you go to San Francisco, and then you've got Tennessee on Halloween. You get the Jets and the Jags, but then you got to go to Buffalo. You play Tampa Bay. And then you've got New England on the back half of the schedule, the Raiders, the Cardinals, et cetera. So
like I said, I didn't say they get 0 wins. I got them at 6.
Yeah, you got them at 6.
I think they're going to fight like hell in that Seattle game. I think when they have to play Arizona, I think that game's going to be a scrappy, tough game. Like I don't think outside of when they have to play the Houston Texans, and let's see what the Jags look like this year, I don't think they got a good win, an easy win in the books all year.
No, I tend to agree.
I think every win they have are going to be hard-fought, close, one-score game wins. And if the ball bounces the wrong way, they don't get any of those. So you better beat the Jags and you better beat the Texans.
Yes. Oh, 100%. Well, that brings us to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we'll start off with the odds, of course, brought to you by BetUS, where the game begins. Link in the description. Go sign up. Promo code NCAAF 2021. 6.5 is their win total. Juice the same, over and under, minus 115. Division odds, plus 650 to win the division. That's number 3. They are plus 5,000 to win the AFC. To make the playoffs, plus 300. To not make the playoffs is minus 400. They are projected favorites in 2 games. They have the 4th easiest schedule per projected win totals. So that kind of makes it a little bit interesting. They have 3 straight under win totals and 9 unders in the last 10 years. Now, you remember they had that one magical season, almost made it to the Super Bowl, all that kind of stuff, right? Blake Bortles. The last 7 college to NFL head coaches improved a team's win total by an average of 4 wins. 3 of them actually made the playoffs. An average of 4 wins. I mean, that's fairly substantial, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that most of them went to really bad teams who ended up with much easier schedules. Like I said, Jags have the 4th easiest schedule per projected win totals. They finished 1-6 in one-score games last year. They finished dead last in penalty yards the last 3 seasons, so I guess you bring in a disciplinarian like Urban Meyer to fix that, I guess. Trevor Lawrence could be Andrew Luck 2.0. We think he does not have quite the team around him that Andrew Luck did. Urban Meyer could turn a lot of guys off with his college rah-rah, BS. I think that could be an issue. The secondary was a big issue last year. They did draft Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. They signed Shaq Griffin. Both of those appear to be working out okay. All of the positive regression is kind of already built into a 6.5 win total. I still like the under here. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is going to be really good.
Yep.
And they do have some weapons at wide receiver. They've got some players on this team. But I don't think that they're a very good team, and I think there's going to be a lot of learning about each other on the fly with Urban and these NFL players. Urban Meyer has never coached professional football players. And there's no amount of training camp or anything else that can gear you up for a season. And we're already hearing rumblings about this. There's a lot of people that are already turned off about the way that he does things down there. I think that's going to boil over at some point. And, I mean, unless he changes, and, he's 57 years old. He's been a coach for a long time. I don't know that he's going to be the one to change.
Yeah.
How long do we really give Urban Meyer? My best guess here is that they win 5 games. But Trevor Lawrence could be otherworldly. His wide receivers could be amazing. All the rest of this may not matter. But I think at some point it does, and I'm going to go with 5 wins. I'm going to go under the 6.5.
Man, we see this a lot. Like I've got this team 5-12, And I could see them getting to 6-11. You could talk me into that. That's fine. I can't see 7 wins yet. I don't think that Trevor Lawrence is magic. I think he could be really, really good. I think this wide receiving core is pretty good.
Yeah.
Travis Etienne is already hurt. He's going to miss the season. Congratulations. And I don't know what you do. You know, at some point in time, you got to play defense. At some point in time, you got to stop somebody. You got to block somebody. And this is the NFL. It's really tough. And you get a couple of divisional wins, but outside of the division, I think wins are going to come scarce.
Yes. They went 1-15 overall last season. So even if Urban Meyer does get them to that 4-win improvement,
I was just about to say he could increase their wins by 4, and they still have 5 wins.
Their schedule now they get Houston to start off with.
That's right.
That's cool. You got Denver, Arizona, Cincinnati, Tennessee. Like that, you could maybe find a way to get on a run here. Maybe
you could win some of those games. You're not winning all those games.
No.
You're just not. This team is not going to say, I'm better than Denver. I'm better than Cincinnati. Like, you could be in all those games. You just to go ahead and chalk up all those as wins ain't happening.
No, definitely not happening.
I've watched this league far too many times.
I mean, you got a stretch here of Miami, Seattle, Buffalo, Indy, San Francisco, Atlanta, the Rams, Tennessee, right. And then you finally get to Houston and the Jets.
Urban has never had a gauntlet like that of games where he has to outcoach that many people.
Yes.
Okay. To where his team is less talented than the team that they're playing, and the coach that he's coaching against is probably better than him also. That's the issue. That when he was at Utah, he still played a schedule of people that were far more talented than him, but he was far superior coach than those other teams.
Yeah.
Okay. This ain't that case. All right. Where the talent differential is also these other guys you're going against are the best coaches in the world. All right. There are no bad coaches in this league that you're going to run up against outside of the few teams that you're already going to be better than.
Yeah. Marvin Jones, DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, Colin Johnson, Philip Dorsett, like they got dudes. They got Laquan Treadwell there, although he hadn't been the same.
No.
You know, since his injury. But they got guys that they can throw the ball to. They got James Robinson, Carlos Hyde as running backs. I just don't see it. Like, I'm looking at the defense. You know, they got some guys on defense too. Miles Jack, Clavon Chasen. Shaq
but defense
Griffin,
is one of those things you can't have 2 or 3 studs. Listen,
the
Browns had a monster at defense, and their defense was still garbage.
Yes.
Okay. All right, like they had, in my opinion, the best defensive player in the world, and they still had a terrible defense because one guy is pretty easy to scheme around. 2 or 3 guys are pretty easy to scheme around in the defense. Offensive line's the same way. Okay, this offensive line's not good. All right, and even if you got one good offensive line, it doesn't matter. Go look at the Houston Texans. I got Laramie Tunsil. I got maybe the best offensive lineman in the game right now. It's not named Quentin Nelson. Okay,
yeah,
but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're still terrible. They're still a sieve.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You are not wrong about that. All right, so we're both going under on the Jags, correct?
I think giving them 5 wins I think increasing your win total by 4 is a hell of a year.
Yes, I think so as well. You think any chance that they end up trading Gardner Minshew to try and shore up any of these other positions?
No. I would trade him if I was them, just because having a viable backup doesn't matter to you. Like, if Trevor goes down, the best thing that you could do is keep losing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like the only reason you would want a strong backup is if you're a team like the Chiefs or something like that. Like, you're a team that needs to know that you're not one player away from winning or losing the Super Bowl. You need to know that if your starter goes down, you can continue to compete because you're trying to win right now.
Yes.
Okay? The Jags aren't that. So having a second string quarterback doesn't bring you any value at all.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
So yes, I would trade him if I was them.
The Tennessee Titans will wrap it up for us, and their win total sits at 9 as well, same as the Indianapolis Colts. To go over is minus 165, so that's the difference, right? Juiced to the over. To go under plus 135. To win the division, they are minus 125. That's number 1. Of course, they are the favorite. To win the AFC, they are plus 1,400. That's the same as the Colts. To make the playoffs, minus 165, same as going over here. And no would be plus 135. They are projected favorites in 8 games, which is different than the Colts here. Their projected strength of schedule is 14th easiest. Of course, the Colts was the 12th easiest, and that's based on projected win totals. 5 straight win total overs. They brought in Jim Schwartz as a defensive analyst. Of course, Schwartz was the defensive coordinator when they actually made their Super Bowl run back under Jeff Fisher. I don't know what this does for them now, but we shall see. The Titans have allowed more yards than gained in all 3 seasons under Mike Vrabel. Pretty remarkable, really. 7-2 record in one-score games last year. There's got to be some kind of regression there, you would assume. Tannehill's 105.3 passer rating was number 3 behind Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson last year. The offense has the number 4 EPA in the league since 2019. I found that surprising.
That's amazing.
Yes. Julio Jones replaces Corey Davis in that wide receiving core. That upgrade helps out A.J. Brown quite a bit. Can Bud Dupree help out that pass rush? Because that was their issue. Jadeveon Clowney could not get to the quarterback, and it wasn't just him. It was the whole defense. Nobody could not get to the quarterback for whatever reason. He was PFF's number 82 graded pass rusher. Yep. So I don't know if Bud Dupree will be able to help out in that situation or not. I mean, who knows? They lost Arthur Smith, their offensive coordinator. Will Todd Downing come in and continue their play-action heavy passing offense? I would assume so because he's been there forever. He learned under Arthur Smith. You would think he would know. I do like this team. I am going to go over. I've got this team winning 10 games. I do think defense is going to remain a problem because I don't think Jim Schwartz coming in fixes anything. I don't think Bud Dupree coming in fixes anything either. I like this team. I think they're going to win the division. I do have them going over, but it's more based on the fact that they get 6 games against the Colts and the Jags and the Texans.
So what was the total again?
9.
I'm sorry, not the total. I knew the total. What was the price again?
To go under is plus 135. To go over is minus 165.
So I have this team at 9-8. Okay. If you told me to go under is that big of a difference, I'd probably take the under just because of price. It wouldn't be for a lot. This is a complete stay away because I have them at that number. If you told me the price was even, the exact same, it doesn't matter. I would think that maybe they could win a game. I do think they're better than all the rest of the teams in this division. I still think this is a very flawed football team. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And also tell me this. I think this offense, I know everybody thinks Julio Jones is going to be amazing. Julio Jones is going to transform this offense. Hang on now. Hang on. The guy that made this offense what it was is now in Atlanta, where Julio used to be. Okay. That's Arthur Smith. And I put a lot of stock in Arthur. All right. I don't know who the hell this new bloke is. Okay. Running the football and doing things. Also, Henry is a monster. But what we know in the NFL is when you put the workload that he has taken over the last 3 years on a running back at some point in time, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. He's going to hit a cliff, and when he does, this team is going to the tank because that's where this offense runs through. Okay? Tannehill is what he is because of Derrick Henry. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I love A.J. Brown. I think he is an amazing receiver. I think Julio Jones is a great player when he's available. Julio Jones had 4 games, I think, last year that were worth a damn. That's it. He only played 9 games. Do we think he's going to be healthier the older he gets? I just don't know enough about this offense. And I do know enough about this defense, and I don't think they're that much better. I think they have been drafting well, but in defensive world, drafting well means 2 years from now you're going to be really good. Rarely do rookies come in at the cornerback secondary position and immediately make monster effects. It's usually their 3rd year where they just take over the league. All right? So I think this team is still going to struggle to win games. I think they've got a really easy division, but at the same time, I understand divisional football. I think to think that they're just going to get 6 wins thrown to them because the rest of this division sucks is not going to happen. The Colts have had this team's number more than any team. I have seen bad Colts football teams come in and play really good Titans teams. And they beat the shit out of them. All right, yeah. Like, it ain't close. Okay.
I'm curious what this Colts team will look like against them. They always, I think it may be a mental thing, and the Texans have always.
It's going to be the best game the Colts are going to play all year. When Tennessee goes to Indianapolis, that will be the best game you will watch the Colts play all year. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I just know that every year in this division, they give them hell. When they're really good, they beat the hell out of them. When they're bad, they beat the hell out of them. And I can't explain it.
Yes. By the way, Tannehill is being placed on the COVID-19 list for the Titans as of, I guess when at Thursday.
Yeah. But he'll be fine by game time. He wasn't going to play in the third preseason game probably much anyway. That doesn't. Tannehill's the quarterback. Tannehill's not at threat to lose his job. Tannehill's still a very good. All of the things that I said, I do not think are knocks on this team. I think they are warning signs. Now, if Derrick Henry continues to run this season the way he has the last 3 years, I think they'll go over the 9. But I don't think it's good. This team ain't winning 12 games. Okay. I think they'll win 10 games, maybe. But that just means they're going to kick the shit out of the rest of the division, probably.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that got me there, right? You got 6 games there. If you go 5-1, well, then I got to get 5 more, and I think that I can get 5 more. The Jets on the schedule.
I don't see 5 more, but that's because I'm assuming some of those good Julio Jones games you're going to get are going to come in this division against not a good secondary in sight. There's not a good secondary in Jacksonville, not a good secondary in Indianapolis, and there's not a good secondary in Houston. That's where Julio's going to get his good games from, in games that you should already win anyway. Yeah, I need Julio to have a good game against the Bills, all right? But I don't think that's happening because I think that secondary is going to make sure that don't happen.
Yeah. We've got Arizona to start, at Seattle, Indy at the Jets, at the Jags, Buffalo, Kansas City, at Indy, at the Rams, New Orleans. And on the back half of the schedule, you've got Jacksonville, you got at New England, and you got Jacksonville, and you've got at Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Miami, and then you close out at Houston. I mean, this is tough. This is tough, but I think this is a good enough team. Yeah, it's the NFL. I mean, that's the way this shit goes. So
I think this year we're going to see that every year we have a conference, every year we have not a conference, a division that is bad.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be the NFC East this year. I think this is going to be the worst division of football. We're going to say, are we going to have a team with a losing record win a division and make a playoff game? We're going to have that conversation, and I think we're going to have it here.
Okay, I can get that.
I might be wrong on that. That's my prediction for this division. Still got the Titans winning it. I still think they're the best team in this division. If Watson came back, still think they're the best team in this division.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right. Is there anything else we need to hit?
Nope. Let's get out of here.
I hadn't seen anything break, so let's dive out. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you for watching the show. Go to winningcureseverything.com. Everything you need to know about us, you can find over there. Where to follow us on our social accounts, of course. If you are watching the show, you can see it right on your screen. So make sure and follow us both on Twitter. Make sure and subscribe to the podcast. Leave a nice 5-star review over at Apple Podcasts. And jump into the YouTube chat. We would love to hear from you. Jump in those comments. We want to hear your opinion on the topics as well. Share the show out. Tell your friends about it. All that good stuff. Show, of course, brought to you by BetUS.com. I host a college football show for BetUS. Chris hosts a college football show for Sportsbook Review. You can subscribe to the channel, both of those channels, in the links below. So go ahead and check it out. BetUS.com, where the game begins. 125% deposit bonus. NCAAF 2021 is the promo code. There is a link in the description for you to go and check it out. It automatically enters it for you. You don't even have to remember the promo code if you just click that link. Very easy to do. So go ahead and do that. With that said, we are getting out of here. So you guys have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And hopefully all of your tickets cash on preseason football this week. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show. Leave